Easy Sports Talk Show with Ed Smith and Javon Adams. That man is Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. You can call me Jay or Jay Love. He played not only professional baseball, but also played in the National Football League on that first Super Bowl bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. And he is an author and a motivational speaker. What is good, my brother?
Happy Friday Fun Day, bruh. We got made it to another one. Right
All
now,
right,
that's the
before we
goal,
get
man. Just 1 week at a time.
right now, we're gonna get into, of course, looking at the NBA playoffs, and I got something to run by you in terms of the NFL and disposable maybe positions. But you mentioned it's Friday Fun Day, but what you got on your menu for this weekend? I know you typically do one on the weekend. You do one of those really in depth type of meals. What you got on the menu?
I'm still debating, to be honest with you. Usually by Friday, I'm figuring out, what's on the agenda. Um, and you know how I attack it. A lot of times I go, okay, what utensil am I going to use? Am I going to go slow cooker, grill,
Mm,
et cetera, et cetera,
yeah.
the pressure cooker, whatever it is. And then I go from there. So I haven't yet decided what type of weekend it is. Last week I took it kind of medium. I went with the Parmesan crusted chicken. That takes a little effort, more prep. But this week
Yeah.
I might put a little more into it as far as some flavors and stuff like that. So we'll see. I'll let you know when I get it figured out.
All right. Yeah, you let me
Yeah,
know because I might come with some of them empty butter dishes
bring your
coming over.
Tupperware, bro. There you
Bringing the
go.
Tupperware over. But yeah, so let's get into it. NBA playoffs. We had a couple of series that wound up yesterday. Let's start with the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers. New York Knicks closed it out 4-2. And the interesting thing was, and I mentioned this, and my son is still getting on my head about it, but it was Hart that made the 3-pointer. Do you know what team Hart was drafted by?
I would guess
Yeah,
maybe the Suns, the Phoenix Suns.
the Lakers.
Oh, the Lakers. Okay.
Yeah. And I was saying, yeah, son, we could have used I could use him on my team. Dad, you gotta let it
Yeah.
go. Let it go, Dad.
LeBron doesn't like that kind of talent. He wants it already ready made. He doesn't like young guys that have to grow a little bit. He wants it already like microwave. He doesn't want to put it in the oven.
Yeah, heaven forbid. But good, looking at that series, there's a couple of numbers that I want to get into after it. But it was a close series, well contested. I mean, the 4-2 I think doesn't tell the tale of how kind of back and forth it was. But when you watch this series, what do what did you take from the Knicks being able to close this out?
Well, I think they're for real this year. In past we've had Knicks teams, and here's the thing: the Knicks fans are so starved. They haven't won a title in my lifetime. I don't
In the
think
70s,
in the 70s. Okay, and I've been old. I've been along on this earth for a long time, and I've never seen them do it. To this point, at least to my memory. And the thing about the Knicks fans, all you got to do is give them a little bit of hope. The next thing you
Yeah.
know, they start putting the capes on, right? And for years, they put the capes on just to find out that somebody had kryptonite and Superman wasn't ready for the flight, right?
Right.
This year, they actually, now, I will say the front runner in the East is obviously the Boston Celtics, but the Knicks actually look, minus size. They don't have the size, I don't think, to go all the way, but Brunson, he's for real. And
Yeah.
from this point forward, if they can, obviously get to the conference finals and, who, heaven forbid, they get to them, I don't think they have the firepower to beat Boston, but I think they're at least we're seeing like the beginning stages of an organization that might be back.
Yeah.
I really feel like they look the part. Minus, like I said, they got to go out and get some size. I mean, and I think they lost some with injury, but like I said, and then one on the flip side, bro, Philly. I mean, Embiid. My Sagi, a funny one. Embiid. He's had them instances with the Kawhi shot a few years ago with the crying and all that stuff. My son
Yeah.
was waiting for him to cry after after the loss last night. Because I mean, Embiid has still not been out of the first round, bro. All
Yeah.
these years, that's a long time
Wait
to
a
be in the
minute.
league.
Didn't it really?
They've never been out of the first round, I don't think. And if you have
I
to, and if they have, then think about this. Even if they have once, isn't that a crime? I know they've never been
Yeah,
to the
because I
conference
thought they had
finals.
made to the second round with Doc Rivers, but they could never get him to the I have to look that up. But yeah, that's
They've never been to the conference finals at best. So we know
yeah,
that. And to my knowledge, I'm not sure if they've even gotten out of the second round with Embiid, and that's embarrassing. I
yeah,
mean, that is, what he's supposed to be a superstar, and man, he lumbers. He does not. I mean, that's a whole lot of a body to be dragging around, and when it gets nicked up, it's one thing when you're smaller and you get nicked up. You can manage. When he gets nicked up, and especially a knee or something like that, there are times, man, where I'm hurting. I'm already hurting, but I'm watching him go up the court. I'm like, how's he even going back and forth? Because you know how brutal a game of
yeah,
basketball is. Imagine
yeah,
it at that level. The thing that people think that, when I go on the court on the weekend, weekend warriors, right? And they're like, man, man, that was rough. Multiply it times 10 with those
yeah.
physical bodies out there, the pounding, they're up and down, they're banging. Imagine that times 10. Just like the same thing with football. You play flag football and stuff like that, magnified by 20 or 30 the physicality out there on the field in the NBA or NFL. So, like I said, Embiid, man, I'm telling you, might have to take that superstar um, tag away from him, because you can't get further than this in any of your playoff endeavors. It looks rough, but yeah, I mean, that was a good series though. That was the best series, one of the better series so far this year.
You hit the nail right on the head. That's what I wanted to talk about. That's why we gel so well together. Because I know when Embiid was drafted, he that first year he sat out, so I get that. But in terms of 8 playing seasons, the number is 54.5. That is the average number of games that he plays per season.
Yeah,
He's had, and he's never had 68 was the maximum number of games that was the maximum number of games that he's played, and that was in the 2021-2022 season. I mean, there's this season he played 39 games. So I'm to your point, you talk about it in football all the time. The best ability is availability,
yeah,
but I mean that's the same thing. It's knowing here to baseball or basketball truisms. Embiid and Chris Paul will get injured at some point during the playoff run. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? Those
Mhm.
are absolutes, and that is unfortunate because Embiid is such a talent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Christmas comes every year in December. At the end of the season, Chris Paul and Embiid, and a lot of it, like I said, is Embiid is just such a load, and
Yeah,
that 82, that march through the 82, bruh. I mean, that's it's the equivalent of take one of the big dump trucks, bruh, and try to drive that through the city streets. You're
hmm.
gonna bet, think about it, you're gonna bang that thing to the cows come home. And by the end of, it looks so pretty when they first take it out there. By the time you bring that thing home, it's gonna have paint from every car on the block.
Yeah,
And that's what Embiid is, man, because and he's always on the floor. Never seen a big
yeah,
man like him. Always, and those are crash landings, bruh. Those are
yeah.
not. I mean, when you're landing with all that weight, those are not, lay down and roll. Those are, I mean,
I
those
think
are,
I forget what the discipline is. I took it in college on how to fall at Taekwondo. Anyway, what it was, but
yeah, yeah.
he needs to take one of those classes about how to
Well,
fall.
even was it Tua took one of those, so he
Yeah,
could with the concussions and stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, he's out there, and when he goes down, it's like every time he goes down, I'm waiting for him not to get back up, because he always looks like he's tumbling, bro. And then, like I said, and you brought up the number of games. But I mean, even in those 37 or whatever games, you see him banging and falling, and it's like, oh God. And then, like you said, he gets to the playoffs every year, and he's just dragging that body up and down the court. And
yeah,
I don't know what Philly can do moving forward, because there's
hmm,
nothing you can do about that. He's going to be another year older next year. The body's going to have even more tread on it. You're going to try to get him through the 82 just to get to the playoffs again. He's a dude that honestly, and you and I don't agree with the load management. He
hmm,
is a dude that I mean, they should seriously consider it with him. get him
But
a
what do you do? It's not even that though, because if you low manage him in the playoffs, he's gonna get hurt. He's gonna get dinged up somewhere. I get what you're saying. You want to have some type of you definitely want to approach him differently, but it's the same way
yeah.
that you do, for example, with Kawhi Leonard, and that's he's going to be out for
Kawhi's hurt
this
too.
next
Yeah,
playoff game. He's out too. I mean, good
yeah.
lord.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, there's nothing you can really do about it. But if I'm a Philly fan, like my next door neighbor, Matt, every year, there's just disappointment around this time, and they always have the big hopes and dreams of, this is our year. It just doesn't seem like they're ever going to get it to curl quite right over there, Jay.
yeah, indeed. Let's get to the other series, and this is one we mentioned it. I was kicking myself for it, especially as the series wound, advanced. Is that Pacers Milwaukee? I mentioned when we were picking it. I said, you know what, I think. You even say, yeah, I think the Pacers might be able to get them. I think you lean slightly towards Milwaukee, but you said it's possible, and it was definitely possible. It did happen. Giannis didn't play in this series. Dame Lillard was injured, all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't matter. You still gotta play and you gotta win. And the Pacers ended up advancing. They're moving on to the second round. My question is, and I saw a headline about that as well, is that so you got the trade. You had the trade in the offseason to bring Dame Lillard to you. You gave up Drew Holiday, sent Drew
Mm-hmm.
Holiday somewhere else, and he's an
Part of
excellent
the
point
team.
guard. Defense, yeah, heart of the team, wonderful point
He's over
guard.
there in Boston.
Exactly, and they Boston didn't really waste any time. But at the end of the season, they said, "Let's go ahead and re-up you, man. We need you. We're going to re-up you for a few years." And then you had two coaches in one season. The first coach you fired had a winning record, so I don't know what you expected. He was a rookie head coach, but he had a winning record. And because some things weren't perfect, you sent him packing. And as you mentioned, that the waiting in the wings or out there dirty macking
Snake in the grass.
Snake in the grass is Doc Rivers, and so he doesn't even get him out of the first round. I mean, what do you do if you're Milwaukee? I mean, congratulations to the Pacers, but the low hanging fruit is the implosion, so to speak, of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Once again, Giannis, he gets dinged at the end of the year. It's the second year in a row for him where his availability in the playoffs cost them the first round. And last year was even worse because they were a 1 seed. This year you can see the writing on the wall with Dame coming here. He did his body was here, but his mind was there, but his mind was never there. He wanted to be in Miami. He made the comments after the All-Star game. Yeah, 5 best players I want to play with are XYZ, A, B, and C, and throw in D. And now one of them was Giannis.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was just a bad marriage. When Giannis didn't play, Dame in and out, that young Indianapolis team or Indiana team, they just ran them out the court, man. You can tell them old dudes just couldn't keep up. And now, man, you might have to Doc, you got to go. I can't have a full season of this. Thank you for your service. Here's a couple coffee cups and stuff like that on the way out the door. And then you got.
But you can't because you're paying Adrian Griffith and you're paying Doc, and then you're gonna bring another coach in, or do you go back to Adrian and say, "Hey man, my bad. You want to come on back, man? You want to come on back and coach this team?"
What you just say?
My bad. Oh, wait a minute.
What you just say? What's the motto here at the East?
Okay, so for those who haven't listened, haven't heard Ed say this on our terrestrial radio show, one day we were talking about it, and so we were talking about the Arizona Cardinals, and I said, man, you can't. The Titans had just fired their GM, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they fired their GM and they're doing some different things. And I said, you can't do that, man. The Titans, they have winning records. You can't do that. And Ed said to me, yes, you can. Emphatically. Yes, you can. Yet if you believe that the choice that you're going to make is going to make you a better team and put you in a position to be more successful and maybe win a championship, yes, you can. Continue,
that conversation starts, hey, Doc, for the betterment of our program. That's all. Yeah, you start right there. And like I said, the bottle here. Yes, you can. I can't bring Doc back. I honestly, I can't. And then the other thing is I call up Miami, to be honest with you. Hey, you want this right here? Meaning Dame? Because like I said, he don't want to be here. I'd be like, okay, Miami,
Yeah.
this is where he wants to be. What you got? Let's get this done during the offseason so we can start our rebuild and mold and get some proper talent around Giannis and move on from here. That's honestly what I would do, and get younger. I mean, they are so old, probably first, second oldest team in the league. I think second. And just, I mean, you got to start fresh, man. And here's the thing: you cannot continue to waste Giannis years. I mean, they got the one title, but here you are for second year in a row, not even getting out of the first round. You cannot have Giannis on your roster not be playing in conference championship games to get to NBA title rounds. You can't do that. You're gonna look up and Giannis is gonna be, 30 some odd years old, or he's gonna be like, hey, get me out of here, I'm done. And what are you gonna do? And you'll look back at all the years you wasted with him, meaning Milwaukee fans, and it's not, and you got the one title, and it's like,
have one of the top 5 players in the league during his career, especially when he rounded into form, and you got one, and or at least you need to get multiple finals appearances. You
gotta set it up where Giannis is playing in the finals against the Joker multiple years. I mean, that should be when we were playing, Jay. When your favorite teams when we were younger, you always anticipated conference finals, Bulls against the Detroit, and on the other side you had this against that, Lakers against such and such, and you knew they were going to meet in the finals for years. Whether it be Celtics, like whatever. And at this point, Giannis, he's almost becoming an afterthought. And you can't have that when you have a superstar. When you're not even getting out of the first round, you can't have that when you have a player of his talent. So that organization needs to start figuring out the things they need to do. And sometimes you got to make the hard decisions. First, one of the easiest decisions is say, Doc, come here, let me talk to you, and we move on from there. So we'll see what they do. But if they stay status quo, bro, it's going to be the same thing next year. And that's just a waste of talent.
Yes, indeed. Easy Sports Talk Show with Ed Smith and Javon Adams. So before we get out of here, news about, so this is that time in the off season where the decisions are being made as to whether or not to pick up that 5th-year option. And Najee Harris, running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, been pretty productive. I mean, pretty good back. They decided not to pick up that 5th-year option. Is this another in the long line of examples of the running back position being so devalued because they feel, oh, don't worry about it. We'll just open the door, look down the street, figure it out. Or they treat running backs like 2 o'clock in the club back in the day, right? You're looking around and you're saying, you can pass protect a little bit. Come on in here. We'll see what we can do with you.
Exactly, man. The running back position has been devalued to the point where, and part of it, one of the reasons it hurts is you are finding guys in the 4th, 5th, 6th, even 7th round with Pacheco with the Chiefs. Yeah. When you got these guys coming in the 7th round, and you don't have to even think about a 5th-year option, and they're on these small salaries, and then what's hurt is these recent giving what the Cowboys do sometime. They set the market. You get Zeke on a 2nd-year contract. You pay him all that money. He fizzles out. Other teams did it right around that time, and everybody started figuring out, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. And now they've gone to the exact opposite end of the spectrum with, well, we don't even need a running back, if once he's past 26 years, 25, 26 years old. You look at some of these free agent running backs that have been on the market recently, Jay, and we're not talking guys at 30, 31, 32. Last year we had several guys 26, 27 years old, but they make it seem like they're 40-year-old running backs. And that's, right. For me, I'm trying to squeeze all the juice out the lemon that I can. I would take a shot on some of these guys, maybe get them to, 2 or 3 year deals and not. But I mean, they're treating these running backs like to the point where, hey, well, come on in here, we'll give you $1 million. It's like, wait a minute,
right? Yeah,
that doesn't even make any sense. So you see the Cowboys, they brought Zeke back. I'm like, oh my god,
I don't understand what the logic behind that. They and Jones was talking about being all in, and they, I guess,
all in. And that's what you do. You don't draft a running back in the draft. All the running backs that were out there, you didn't get one in free agency. You had Henry out there. Run down the list of running backs you had out there in free agency. You didn't get any of them. You didn't draft one in the draft, and then you go back and get Zeke, bro. That's that's bumping into the old girlfriend, and like you said, at 2:00 in the morning, and everybody else is all saddled up and was like, "All right, come on, girl, let's go home."
Oh man, he is Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. We do this thing 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Go to easysportstalk.com, easysportstalk.com. However you are listening to this, make sure you subscribe so you get notified once the new show hits the airwaves. And you can also go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Easy Sports Talk Show, The Easy Sports Talk Show. And as we always like to say around this time, you can